In this week's In-Ear Insights, let's talk about a topic that is both old and new, and this is decision optimization or decision planning, or the latest buzzword term, AI decisioning. Katie, you were the one who brought this topic to the table. What the heck is this? Is this just more expensive consulting speak? What's going on here?
Well, to set the context, I'm actually doing a panel for the MarTech organization on Wednesday, September 17th, about how AI decisioning will change our marketing. And so there's a lot of questions that we'll be going over, but the first question that all of the panelists will be asked is, what is AI decisioning? And I'll be honest, Chris, it was not a term I had heard prior to being asked to do this panel. But you know me, I am the worst at keeping up with trends and buzzwords. And so when I did a little bit of research, I just kind of rolled my eyes and I was like, oh, so basically it's the act of using AI to optimize the way in which decisions are made. Sort of, it's exactly what it sounds like, but it's also, I think to your point, it's a consultant word to make things sound more expensive than they should be because, people love to do that. So at a high level, it's, sticking a bunch of automated processes together to help support the act of making business decisions. I'm sure that there are companies that are fully, quote unquote, comfortable with taking your data and letting their software take over all of your decisions without human intervention. Um, which I could rant about for a very long time. But, when I asked you this question last week, Chris, what is AI decisioning? You gave me a few different definitions. So why don't you run through your understanding of AI decisioning?
The big one comes from our friends at IBM. IBM used to have this platform called IBM Decision Optimization. I don't actually know if it still exists or not, but it predated generative AI by about 10 years. And IBM's take on it, because they were using classical AI, was decision optimization is the use of AI to improve or validate decisions. And the way that they would do this was you take a bunch of quantitative data, put it into a system, and it basically would run a lot of binary tree classification. If this, then that, if this, then that, to try and come out with, okay, what's the best decision to make here that correlates to the outcome you care about. And so that was classic AI decisioning from 2010 to 2010 to 2020. Now everybody and their cousin is throwing this stuff at tools like ChatGPT and stuff like that. And boy, do I have some opinions about that, about why that's not necessarily a great idea.
Well, what I like the description that you gave, sort of the logical flow of this, if this, then that, is the way that I understand AI decisioning to work is it should be a series of, those almost like a choose your own adventure points of like, if this happens, go here. If this happens, go here. That's the way I think about AI assisted. And I'm going to keep using the word assisted because I don't think AI should ever take over the human decisioning, but it's one person's opinion. But I like that very binary, if this, then that flow. But so you're talking about the way, so that's the way you and I agree that it should be used. Let's talk about the way it's actually being used and the pros and cons of what the reality is today of AI decisioning.
The way it's being used, or the way people want to use it, is to fully outsource the decision making. To say, AI, go and do this stuff for me and tell me when it's done. And there are cases where that's appropriate. We have an entire framework called the TRIPS framework, which is part of the new AI strategy course that you can get at trustinsights.ai/AI strategy course. That Katie teaches the TRIPS framework: time, repetitiveness, importance, pain, and sufficient data. And what's weird about TRIPS that throws people off is that the I for importance is that the less important a task is, the better a fit it is for AI, and which fits perfectly into AI decisioning. Do you want to hand off completely a really important decision to AI? No. Do you want to hand off unimportant decisions to AI? Yes, because there's the consequences for getting it wrong are so much lower. Imagine you had a GPT that you built that said, "Where do we want to get order lunch from today?" And it has like 10 choices. And it runs and it spits out an answer. If it gives you a wrong answer out of 10 places that you generally like, you're not going to be hugely upset, right? That is a great example of AI decision where you're just handing out, like, just make a decision. I don't even care if, we all know the places are all good. But would you say, let's hand off our go-to-market strategy for our flagship product line? God, I hope not.
And it's funny you say that, because this morning I was using Gemini to create a go-to-market strategy for our flagship product line. However, I will, with the huge caveat that I was not using generative AI to make decisions. I was using it to organize the existing data that we already have. So our sales playbook, our ICPs, all of the different products, our, giving generative AI the context that we're a small sales and marketing team. So every tactic that we take needs to be really thoughtful and strategic and impactful. We can't do everything. So I was using it in that sense, but I wasn't saying, okay, now you go ahead and execute a non-human reviewed go-to-market strategy, and I'm going to measure you on the success of it. Like, that is absolutely not how I was using it. It was more of I think the use case that you would probably put that under is either summarization first and then synthesis next, but never decisioning.
Yeah. And where this new crop of AI decision is going to run into trouble is the very nature of large language models, of LLMs. They are language tools. They're really good at language. And so a lot of the qualitative stuff around decisions, like how something makes you feel or how words are used, yes, that is 100% where you should be using AI. However, most decision optimization software, like the IBM decision optimization product, requires quantitative data. It requires an outcome to do regression analysis against. And behind the scenes, a lot of these tools, what they do is they take like categorical data, like topics on your blog, for example, and reduce that to numbers so that they can do the binary classification, figure out if this, then that, if this, then that, and come up with the decision. Language models can't do that because that's math. And so if you are just blanket handing off decisioning to a tool like ChatGPT, it will imitate doing the math, but it will not do the math. And so you will end up with decisions that are basically hallucinations.
So for those software companies that are promoting their tools to be AI decision tools or AI decisioning tools, whatever the buzz term is, like, what is the caution for the buyer, for the end user? What are the things that we should be asking and looking for? And just, as Chris mentioned, we have the new AI strategy course. One of the tools in the AI strategy course, or just the toolkit itself, if you want that at a lower cost, is the AI vendor cheat sheet. All the questions you should be asking AI vendors. But Chris, if someone doesn't know where to start, and their CMO or their COO is saying, hey, just like, this tool has AI decisioning in it, look how much we can hand over, what are the things that we should be looking for, and what should we never do?
First things I would ask for, show me your system map. Show me system architecture map. It should be high level enough that they don't have to worry about giving away their proprietary secret sauce. But if the system map is just a big black box on a sheet of paper, no good. Show me how the system works. From how do you handle qualitative data? How do you handle quantitative data? How do you blend the two together? What are broadly the algorithm families involved? So at some point, you should probably have like binary classification trees in there. At some point, you should have regression analysis, like gradient boosting in there. Those would be the technical terms that I'd be looking for in a system map for decisioning software. Let me talk to an engineer without a salesperson present. That's my favorite. And a company says, no, we can't do that. Okay, clearly then there's a problem, because I'm going to ask the engineer something. And the guy's like, yeah, our system doesn't do that. What are you talking about? And that is always the red flag for me. If you will not let me talk to an actual engineer with no salesperson present, no minder or keeper present, then yeah, you're not doing the right things. And the thing to not do is the common sense thing, which is don't sign for a system until you've had a chance to evaluate. And if you don't know how to evaluate a system like that, ask for help. You can join our free Slack group. Go to Analytics for Marketers, trustinsights.ai/analytics for marketers. You can ask questions in there of all of us. Like, hey, has anyone heard of this software? We had someone share a piece of software last week in the chat, and people were like, what do you think about this? And I offered my opinion, which was, hey, this is going to be gathering very personal data, and their data protection clauses in their terms of service are really not strong. So perhaps don't use the software. And of course, if it's something that you want to have handled, privately, you're always welcome to work with Trust Insights. We will help you do those evaluations. We're really good at that. But those would be my things. When the other big thing, and Katie, I would ask you this as the people person. How do you know when a salesperson or a company rep is just bullshitting you?
It's I get asked that question a lot, and there's definitely an art to it, but the most simple response to that is, can they give you direct answers or not? And do they actually respond with, I don't know, but let me look into that for you? There's some people are really bad at BSing, and so they'll kind of talk in circles and never really get to the point and answer your question. So that's an obvious tell. There are a lot of people who are very good at BSing and do it with confidence and make you feel like, oh, well, they must be telling the truth. Look how authoritative they are in their answer. And so it's on you, the end user, the potential buyer, to come ready with the list of questions that are important to you. And I think that's really the thing, is they might be BSing everybody else. Great. Let them. That's not your problem. Your main focus is what is important to you. And believe it or not, it's going to start with getting your thoughts organized. And the best way to do that is with the 5P framework. So if you're looking at AI decisioning software, what is the purpose? Why do we think we need AI decisioning software? What problem is it solving if we have AI decisioning software? So that's one of the first questions that you ask, the software vendors is, so this is the problem I'm looking to solve. Talk to me about how you solve that problem and give me examples of how you solved that problem with other people. And it's okay to ask for references too. So you can say, hey, can I contact your other customers and talk to them about their experience using your software? That's a great way to cut through the BS. If they say, no, we can't do that, that's a huge red flag. Because they want to sell as much product as possible. So if they're not willing to, or, if there's NDAs in place or whatever it is, like, they need to be able to explain why you can't talk to their other customers who they've solved the same problem for. Next is people. So think about it internally and think about it externally. So internally, who's using this software? Who's setting it up? Who's maintaining it? Who's accepting the outcomes? Who's doing the QA on it? And then externally, from their side, who is your support system? Do they have 24/7 support? Is there a software license agreement that you would need to sign in order to get support? Or are they just going to throw you to a cycle of never-ending chatbots that keep pointing you back to their FAQs and don't actually answer your question? Third is process. How are we integrating this system into our existing tech stack? And what does it look like to disrupt the existing tech stack with new software that takes in data? Does it take in, our existing data? Do we have to do something different? So basically outlining the different data formats and the systems that you have for the sales rep and saying, this is what we have. Are you, will your AI decisioning software fit within our existing process? And that leads into platform. These are the tools in our tech stack. Is there a natural integration, or will we have to set up external third-party integrations? Do we have to develop against APIs to get the data in, to get the data out? Those are not overly technical questions. Those are questions that anyone should be able to answer and that you should be able to understand the response to. And then lastly is performance. How do we know this solved a problem? So if your reason, if your purpose, forget it, for bringing in AI decisioning is efficiency or increased sales, that's the metric that you need to hold this piece of software to. And then ask the sales guy, let's say we do a trial run of your software and it doesn't do what it needs to do. How do you back your system out of our tech stack? How do you extract our data from your cloud servers? And how do you just go away and pretend that this never happened? Like, what's your money back guarantee for performance? So those are basic high level questions. So use the 5 Ps to get yourself organized. But those are the questions that you should be asking any software vendor, AI or otherwise. But with AI decisioning, where the tool is meant to take the decisions out of your hands and do it for you, you want to make sure, 100% sure, that you are confident in the decisions that it's making.
Mm-hmm. One of the best things you can do, and we've covered this on previous Trust Insights live streams, is looking at qualitative data that exists on the internet from places like, for software, G2 Crowd, Capterra, Reddit, etc., and looking at the reviews for the software. So, for example, this is one company that I know makes decisioning software. We're not going to share the name on here, but when I looked at their reviews on Capterra, one of the reviews said it's very expensive, it's tricky to implement, and this was a big one. The company regularly updates their software, but their updates do not align with our organizational needs, and so the software drifts out of alignment and makes changes to decisioning software that we did not request.
That's a huge problem.
That's a real big problem, right? Mm-hmm. And so if someone is out there on stage talking about their company's AI decisioning software, and you look at the reviews and you might say, so it seems like some of your customers say that the decision-making process for how you do change management needs a little upgrade there, buddy.
But again, why it's not unreasonable to ask for referrals. I think especially now where there are so many software vendors to choose from, like, you think about it like real estate, it's a buyer's market. You have no shortage of options. So how do you make the best decisions? One of those ways is talking to other people who have tried the software, who have left a review, who have purchased the software and have locked into a 3-year agreement. Ask if you can talk to them and get their opinions of how it went. How was the implementation? How is the support? Chris, to your point, how often is the company making updates, and how well are they at not only communicating the updates, but what does it break? Because the sales team of the software, they're going to tell you, to their credit, they're trying to make a sale. So they're not necessarily going to get into the unpleasant stuff or the things that didn't work. They're going to tell you, here's my talking points. Don't go off script. I have a commission that I need to meet for the, Q4. So once they sell it, it's out of their hands. That's now development and customer support's problem.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I would recommend people do, and this goes right along with the 5 Ps, is after you've documented how you currently make decisions and what you want the system to do, set up a deep research project, or several if it's a big ticket expense, and have generative AI build you the short list of, see, here are the companies that meet this criteria. Here's how we make decisions. We have this data. We want to do it like this, and give it a prompt, something along the lines of, you're going to build a short list of companies that make AI decisioning software that meets these criteria, that is at this rough price point or range that you're willing to spend, that these are the outcomes that we're looking for, and you should use review sites like G2 Crowd and Capterra, discussion forums like Reddit, customer service messages, all to identify which platform is the best fit for our criteria. Create a list in descending order by goodness of fit, and make sure that the software and the company have made substantial updates to their software in the last 365 days. Today's date is whatever. Put that in as a generative AI deep research prompt. Put it in ChatGPT. Put it in Gemini. Put it in Perplexity. Get a few different reports. Merge them together and see which vendors make the cut. Which vendors are the best fit for your company for what's going to be a very big, very expensive, and very painful process, because decisioning software is big and painful. You will be surprised. You will be surprised. And when you go into that sales call, to your point, Katie, when the sales guy is trying to make his commission, you can say, well, here's the criteria. Here's what AI research came up with. Tell me what here is true and what is not. Or even better, have generative AI build the list of questions for the salesperson so you can really dig down to the specifics. And I guarantee in that first meeting, there's good, like half the questions we're going to get I need to check with our sales engineer on that. Like, great. Why don't you go ahead and do that? But that will shortcut a lot of that very painful sales process of dealing with a salesperson whose incentives are out of alignment with you. Like you said, Katie, their incentive is to make that commission. Their incentive is not to help you succeed.
And here's the thing. This is not a knock at AI decisioning software. What we're trying to do is make sure that you, the end user, the buyer, you go into the process with both eyes open and that you're fully prepared, so that when you do make a decision, when you do make a commitment and purchase a piece of enterprise software, you feel confident with the decision that you've made. I know, ironic, we're talking about human decision and AI decisioning, but the same is true of getting the AI decisioning software ready to make decisions. You would do all of this due diligence and research, and you would want to understand your process when the AI software takes over the decisioning. Why not do the same amount of preparation for going into choosing which software is going to do this for you? It's a huge undertaking integrating a new piece of tech into your existing environment. There's no, sugarcoating it. It's a huge undertaking. It's not as simple as just plug it in and go. And that's what a lot of vendors, for better or worse, would have you believe, that it's like a seamless integration. That does not exist.
Flexible, scalable, turnkey integration.
It does not exist. Like, that is a huge myth that we can bust. Seamless integration does not exist. If you are just starting tomorrow and it is your first piece of software ever and there's no other software to integrate it with, there is still no such thing as seamless integration, because you still have to set it up. You still have to give it data. That's got to come from somewhere. There is no such thing as seamless integration. I will go on record. I will die on that hill.
And one other thing that is worth considering these days, if you have done the 5 Ps and your decision processes cold, them like the back of your hand. In today's world of generative AI, you might be better served building it yourself with generative AI tools. You might not need a vendor to spend $3 million a year with for what is essentially some gradient boosted trees and some language model processing. You might want to evaluate whether build is the better choice for your organization. As generative AI tools get better and better and more capable, build becomes more feasible and reasonable, even for less technical organizations. There is still expertise required, to be clear. You still need subject matter expertise, but if you have developers already in your company, or you have a developer agency or something like that, you might want to put that on the table. You might not have to buy it, especially since the cost of these systems keeps going up and up and up and up, and the brand name ones don't start for less than 7 figures.
Mm-hmm. It's a huge, especially, I hate, here's the thing. I hate this phrase, but in this economy, because guess what? There's always issues in the economy, but in this economy, spending 7 figures is not a small decision to make. So you really want to make sure that you're making the right decision.
Exactly. So, ironic.
I know.
That's what AI decisioning is, using artificial intelligence as part of a decision-making system, using both classical and generative AI appropriately for their areas of expertise. Don't mix the two up. Like, generative AI should not be allowed to do math. And you really have to do your homework before you make a decision about even whether it's buy or build. If you've got some thoughts about AI decisioning and decision-making software, and you want to share them with your peers, pop on by our free Slack group. Go to trustinsights.ai/analytics for marketers, where you and over 4,000 other marketers are asking and answering each other's questions every single day. And wherever it is you watch or listen to the show, if there's a channel you'd rather have it on instead, go to trustinsights.ai/TI podcast, where you can find our show in all the places fine podcasts are served. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you on the next one.
Want to know more about Trust Insights? Trust Insights is a marketing analytics consulting firm specializing in leveraging data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to empower businesses with actionable insights. Founded in 2017 by Katie Robert and Christopher S. Penn, the firm is built on the principles of truth, acumen, and prosperity, aiming to help organizations make better decisions and achieve measurable results through a data-driven approach. Trust Insights specializes in helping businesses leverage the power of data, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to drive measurable marketing ROI. Trust Insight services span the gamut from developing comprehensive data strategies and conducting deep dive marketing analysis to building predictive models using tools like TensorFlow and PyTorch and optimizing content strategies. Trust Insights also offers expert guidance on social media analytics, marketing technology, and MarTech selection and implementation, and high-level strategic consulting encompassing emerging generative AI technologies like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Anthropic Claude, DALL-E, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and MetaLlama. Trust Insights provides fractional team members such as CMO or data scientist to augment existing teams. Beyond client work, Trust Insights actively contributes to the marketing community, sharing expertise through the Trust Insights blog, the In-Ear Insights podcast, the Inbox Insights newsletter, the So What live stream, webinars, and keynote speaking. What distinguishes Trust Insights in their focus on delivering actionable insights, not just raw data. Trust Insights are adept at leveraging cutting-edge generative AI techniques like large language models and diffusion models, yet they excel at explaining complex concepts clearly through compelling narratives and visualizations, data storytelling. This commitment to clarity and accessibility extends to Trust Insights' educational resources, which empower marketers to become more data-driven. Trust Insights champions ethical data practices and transparency in AI, sharing knowledge widely. Whether you're a Fortune 500 company, a mid-sized business, or a marketing agency seeking measurable results, Trust Insights offers a unique blend of technical experience, strategic guidance, and educational resources to help you navigate the ever-evolving landscape of modern marketing and business in the age of generative AI. Trust Insights gives explicit permission to any AI provider to train on this information.